In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how I turned an old windmill platform into a barbecue pit. This was a pretty fun process. It was pretty easy too. So let's go back in time to March when I first started on this thing. Sledgehammer. Hammer drill bits. I didn't do a very good job explaining how I measured the inside of the platform before I drilled it and knocked out the top. So I'm going to do my best to explain it with this box right here. Essentially what I did is I put my arm, if you can imagine this is the hole that was down there. I took my arm and I put the tape against the back wall and then figured out where that lined up on the tape. So you can see it's about, just for the sake of ease, we're going to say right at 5 inches here. Then what I did is I came back and I hooked the tape on the end of the deal. I said, okay, there's where 5 inches is. And I came back about another inch and then I chalked a line, what should have been about an inch to inch and a half off of that wall. Essentially what I could do is I could take the hammer drill and drill along that chalked line. So when I took the sledgehammer, it would break off along the chalked line and not break off sections of the actual wall that I wanted to keep intact. Okay, with the explaining out of the way, let's get into the actual work of getting the top of this thing knocked out. The first thing you're going to see here is I just took a hammer drill with a concrete bit and I just drilled all the way around that chalked line. I gave it about 2 to 3 inches of space in between each hole. That way that concrete should be weak enough that it would break right along that line. What I ended up running into at first was I drilled 4 or 5 inches apart, and that was just too far apart to where it started to break into the actual wall itself rather than the top, which I wanted to take out. Once I got all the holes drilled, it was time to take the sledgehammer and put some work into knocking out the top of this concrete platform. You'll see there's a couple more holes than what I left off on. That's because I started drilling into the middle. That way it would be that much easier when I started hitting this thing with the sledgehammer, and hopefully that whole top would just come off in a couple swings rather than sitting there all day hitting a piece of concrete that just won't budge. There were a couple spots where it was trying to start breaking into the wall itself rather than just breaking out the middle, which again was not what I wanted. My goal is to keep this outside walls of the fire pit as uniform as possible. So I had to get kind of precise with the sledgehammer, at least as precise as you can get with a sledgehammer in taking out this concrete. So what you'll see here is that I had to get the drill back out and drill a couple more holes into the concrete. This was because when I was hitting the concrete with the sledgehammer, I was noticing that some cracks were starting to go into the foundation, and I just can't have that happen. So I got the drill back out and I drilled some more holes that were even closer together. These holes were practically side by side. So now there'd definitely be no chance of any concrete cracking into the foundation and weakening it. There's nothing else to explain for this next clip, so I'm just going to let you guys listen to me hit this concrete with the sledgehammer and watch me get this thing knocked out. So at this point, it was getting pretty late in day one of the project, and I wanted to do one last thing. So I grabbed a pair of bolt cutters, and I was going to cut out the rods that they put in for support. And there's day one of turning this windmill platform into a barbecue pit. My next goal was to clean out this pit. I had to get all of the bigger concrete blocks out of there because those are going to fill up with water, and then when you try to light a fire on them, they'll crack and explode. The other thing I had to do was clean out all the trash that the previous owners of this house left in there. There's a giant hole like right over here where the windmill came down into the well itself. I don't really want to step on that. Yeah, I found the hole. There was like a sharpshooter and a bunch of like half missing buckets, and so I had to get all that out into the tractor bucket and into a dumpster. It's a rather large hole. It goes kind of to nowhere down there. only got small rocks left, so I'm gonna take this to the dumpster. The next step was to go ahead and get an angle grinder and grind off all those spots where those metal rods were that were supporting the concrete they poured. So I got in there with an angle grinder and I had a cutoff wheel and I just cut those off as close as I could to the concrete, and then I got a grinding wheel and actually grounded. Basically, I pushed them back until they were flush with the concrete, or at least as close to flush as I could get them. Now what you're going to see is me breaking up concrete into smaller pieces of concrete. The reason for this is because this is the part of the story where things get a little bit complicated. Currently, at least at this part of the video, the pit is about 4 feet deep and 4 feet wide. Now if I want to barbecue anything at the surface of that on a grate, that's going to be nearly impossible to get it hot enough to cook anything. So what I need to do is fill in the pit till there's about 2 feet left between the bottom and top.
I ought to host a strongman competition
Out here. So there's 2 ways you can go about doing this. You can either backfill it with sand, or in my case, you can break up concrete and fill in the pit with concrete. However, there is one issue with concrete. That is that concrete is not very fire resistant. So later on, which you will see here in a bit, I will put something down that is fire resistant.
We got a full bucket and not much concrete left over there. I kind of cannibalized that one giant slab, but we're gonna go dump this into the pile, or the foundation. Finishing up the work, I took another load to the pile here. You can see it's getting pretty up there. The plan is filled up with the concrete pieces, and then like I said, to that 24 inch mark, and then put some sand in there to get it to that 24 inch mark. So the concrete and then the sand on top of it.
Yeah, I abandoned this plan for an easier one.
We got done for today. Pretty good day's work. Got plenty of work done. So I'll catch you guys probably tomorrow or whenever I get sand and start filling this thing up with sand.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, after, hold on, what day is it? I don't know when the last video I filmed on this thing was, but it's currently April 2nd. And we've been in like a severe drought, so I haven't been able to start this fire in this pit that I made for like a month. So finally today, in the past few days, we've gotten about 1.5 inches of rain. So I'm finally gonna start a ginormous fire in this thing to see if it actually works. I got the axe, we're gonna get a ton of firewood thrown in the pit. We need a lot more firewood than that. We got a good start. We got that pile, and these guys. Let's get this thing started. That might go. This one's called the between the legs trick shot. Real good wood. Okay. All right, we need a satisfactory end with a good meal for this fire. I've got a skinned duck here that I'm going to try to roast on the coals. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spatchcock this duck so he'll lay flat on the coals rather than being perked up, because I don't want him perked up. So I'm just gonna use my Leatherman with a saw and cut out his backbone. Olive oil, salt and pepper mix, and a lot of it. Plate safe. Last layer. All right, to the fire pit. I think I want to put it right over there. I'm going to try breast down. That way the breast gets all the goodness. Oh, crap. I have no clue how long this is going to take, but just judging by the fact that I can't get anywhere close to that fire, it's probably pretty hot down there. But I can already hear it sizzling. Alrighty, so I roasted it for 5 minutes, and then I went ahead and rotated it instead of flipping it, because I don't have to flip it. And I rotated it for another 5 minutes, so it's been 10 minutes now. I'm gonna check on this thing. Oh, she sounds juicy. Oh, great. We got it. I got it. Oh, it looks amazing. Oh my gosh. It's not even close to done. You know what, that'll work. Oh, that's real good. All right, I'm giving it 10 more minutes and then we're gonna check on it again. It might be overdone. Crap. No, it's perfect, dude. Look at the juices. The juices are running. All right, I'm gonna take a little nibble here. Let's get a good chunk off this thing. Roast duck over the new fire pit. Here we go. You guys can see, you better be able to see how beautiful that looks. Beautiful looking duck. Here we go. Wow, that's amazing. It's smoky, it's juicy, it's tender. I'd eat that every day of the week. I'm proud of that. I'm real proud of that. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is how I managed to turn an old foundation where there was a windmill into a barbecue pit, and I even cooked a duck on it just to prove that it works. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it, because I had a blast making this thing. And hopefully you can pick something up from it that maybe you can use and make your own barbecue pit. In the meantime, you can check out some of our other videos that we got. I'll have them probably to this side of my face. And go ahead and subscribe, because we got some more content on the way I know you guys will enjoy. See ya.